If we decide to engage in social networking sites, we must be prepared for the consequences that come along with it. As we create our Facebook profile page, we are posting private information in a public space. Employers checking out our Facebook should not be considered an invasion of privacy because we are posting information on the internet, a place that is accessible to all.
I am not going to tell them that I'll be reading their emails.
Oh my God! Wow! Email from Stanley. Stanley. Terribly nice guy. Sorry I didn't write back sooner. I can't go to the game tonight because my boss, Michael, is an ass and making me stay late. Well, Stanley's an ass.
There has been studies done to understand if workplace surveillance is a good or bad practice. Frederick Taylor, who is an American mechanical engineer that wanted to improve industrial efficiency and was the founder of Scientific Management, conducted a study on workplace surveillance at a steel workers factory and proved that surveillance in the work setting makes for a more productive company, since most of the people working quadrupled their work outcome. There needs to be more studies carried out in modern time to see if employers that tell their employees their information on ICTs and when they are busy at work will be watched. We need to know if that is a positive practice to boost good work or if it is all bad and should be taken out of the working world.
When our employer gives us a company BlackBerry, we think of all the perks and the ways we can abuse it, but we never consider how it will abuse us. Recently, Scotiabank employees have started a class action suit for unpaid overtime due to the company BlackBerry and always being connected to work. And that's the main issue with company BlackBerries. You're expected to always be available to work, but most people don't track that time, so most don't get paid for all that overtime. Many workplace policies insist that employees get approval in advance to work overtime. But how do you get approval for a 2 a.m. call from the boss? It's clear most workplace policies make it impossible to claim this as overtime, so when you answer your BlackBerry, you're really working for free. Not only can your boss reach you at any time, but many smartphones are equipped with GPS capability, meaning your location can be tracked all the time. What about the private data on the company BlackBerry? Who owns that data, the company or the user? Does your employer have the right to access the information on your BlackBerry? So beware your BlackBerry.
Just one complaint. Actually, it has been withdrawn. So that is no help to us. Next.
Wait, what did it say?
Does she have to plan her wedding on office time? Shouldn't she do that at home?
When you sign up to use Facebook, you are aware that the information is, can be accessed, that a lot of the information you put on the internet is really easy to discover. And there's where the problem lies. What you intend and the consequences are often very different things. Probably would be wise to put only information out there that you don't mind being used. I think all information is admissible, but that probably the weight that you give that information should be very, very low because it's an unintended use. Remember, we can package and repackage information. We're communication experts, and we know that things can be taken out of context. So we want to have a little bit of control over the information that gets put up there and dispersed in cyberspace. In the workplace, you sort of have to decide what type of workplace do I want to work in, and when you're aligning yourself with these types of organizations, because of the security risks and the importance of this information, then I believe that using some sort of surveillance is to the organization's benefit, and if we're in compliance with it, then we should happily accept it. It's one of those things that I believe should be looked at in depth on a case-to-case basis, and that the key is about communication, negotiation, and visibility, making sure that if there are these things hidden away, in terms of you not seeing them, at least at the point of hiring, you're aware that they're there. I think not coming forward with that type of information is not giving due diligence on the organization's part. But getting good set of ground rules where you have a mutual awareness and a mutual agreement over how monitoring devices are going to be used is probably going to come a little closer to hitting the bullseye on getting something out there that we all agree with. And so maybe we can even make the more powerful organizations sit down at the table with the users so we can establish some mutually acceptable guidelines for how we're going to use this surveillance technology that is out there and that can be, in the right conditions, quite acceptable for everybody, I believe. After a while, it hardly became worthwhile for the employee. They could be on call for the work, but yet they were very, very restricted in how they could use their free time. So instead of working that 8 hours a day, it could like climb up into the 10 hours a day. And what they essentially got out of it was a free BlackBerry, which wasn't a very good deal. It's hard to imagine not having policies, and then it's hard to imagine any policy that could stick. It would have to be a very general policy. I think what should be up front in a policy, if one were to be created and operationalized, is defining where you're going to put it. And then maybe we're going to be a little closer to getting at a policy that might be acceptable for everyone. I think that's probably the best way to go about it if we want to have a policy that's enduring. Or something that can last and accommodate the ever-changing, increasing evolution of technology. A good thing to do would be to step back and figure out, well, what type of organization do we have and what type of organization do we want? And then try to utilize the best possible policies and practices that are going to allow that organization to maintain that organizational identity. And what works for a mom-and-pop pizza shop is not going to work for Google or IBM because they're different types of organization.
All right, Kevin, you are accused of making sexually suggestive remarks to Angela that made her feel uncomfortable. Solution. Angela, you are to make sexually suggestive remarks to Kevin that will make him uncomfortable.
I accept your decision.
We've come to realize there's a significant imbalance in the workplace because of new technologies. Our main concern is with the rapidly advancing technologies and how they are affecting employees. As we mentioned earlier, employers are monitoring their employees by checking social networking sites such as Facebook, checking their emails, and using other surveillance techniques. They are also trying to stay in constant connection with their employees by using mobile devices. Because these new technologies have advanced so quickly, policies have not been put in place to deal with these issues. Employees feel that their privacy is being invaded and are often unaware of the level of surveillance being used. After doing our own research, we looked to an expert in communication technologies here at the University of Ottawa. Professor Lupacchini has done extensive research in this field and has provided us with current information and insight on our topic. We believe that there needs to be general governmental policies to deal with these issues. Also, at the organizational level, specific policies that work best for that company should be implemented. We know that these surveillance techniques will not be eliminated, but if the company is upfront about it, we feel that less problems will arise. These changes need to be made shortly before we can no longer control the growth of these technologies.